Well, as I was saying before the camera lens retracted, shut off, uh, last week on Friday, uh, my wife was driving home from work, and along the same avenue, speed limit of 30 miles an hour, this other woman was driving in the opposite direction, and apparently she was determined to take a left-hand turn, and she swung right in front of my wife as they passed the intersection of Nevada and Road, and two cars collided. Both cars were rendered useless, and now we're awaiting payment from Hartford Insurance Company. We don't even know how much money we'll get. But Joan Lee's a thrifty woman, and she works pretty hard as a home care provider. $20 an hour with hazard pay, and she saved her money. She withdrew enough money to pay cash for another car. So we did that yesterday, but Thursday, must have happened Thursday. Thursday, or perhaps it was Wednesday. Wednesday night, Thursday, I took the bus to Pullman to attend my 50th high school reunion, which had been postponed for 2 years because of the pandemic. Well, I had never attended any of my other reunions, and I figured better late than never, or I better go now, or I'd never have another chance. Both thoughts occurred to me. Because 10 years is a long time, and I'll be 70 in less than 3 weeks. And although I don't have any visible ailments, I do have high blood pressure. And I take 6 medicines for that, so it's if I didn't take those medicines, I'd have a heart attack and die, no doubt. I even have a supply of nitroglycerin tablets, none of which I've ever used. And I also have a supply of sleeping pills, Ambien, only one of which I've ever used, so I have 29 of those left. So anyway, the high school reunion, now it lasted Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. And my hometown Pullman is not very large. The population of the student body at Washington State University is roughly 20,000. And when they clear out in the summer, the population of Pullman drops to probably 8,000 or 9,000 people. So it's a very small town. The proverbial college town, no question. I had a very, very peaceful, and I would even say idyllic childhood. Apart from the fact that my father wasn't around very much. Divorced, you know. So anyway, now we have a car again, thank God. My wife can get to work. And so we were dealing with a lot of stress for a while, and she gets excited and I get excited, and she gets aggravated and I get aggravated, or vice versa. When she gets upset and we have an argument, she'll start, her voice increases in volume, and she starts to shriek. It's these ear-splitting, shrieking remarks. And I've asked her not to do it. I mean, especially when I'm driving. It just drives me batty. But anyway. There won't be any of that again until our next crisis. Well, they found out a lot today about the machinations, Trump's inner circle on the days leading up to and including January 6th, when that megalomaniac Trump did everything he could to undermine an honest election and falsely claim that it was fraught with fraudulence. Yeah, sure. The only thing fraught with fraudulence is our former President Trump himself, the scoundrel. That's what my father, longtime Republican, would have called him had he still been alive. Bleeding motherfucking scoundrel. Well, he wouldn't have used those two prior adjectives. He was a gentleman, professor of organic chemistry. I don't know, at the reunion, a friend of mine from high school, Mike Lowry, had put together, along with Les Davies, they developed and organized these events that all of us gathered at. And Mike went to the trouble of making these name tags, which were like identification badges, with our high school photos on them and our names. I still have mine as a souvenir. And my stepbrother Kirk was there, and he's been undergoing treatment for pancreatic cancer, I think. Anyway, he's lost an awful lot of weight. He's really thin. It's sad to see him so thin. And then another classmate of mine, who had become an attorney, I believe, he was in bad physical shape. He was hunched over, and he'd injured his arm somehow, I think, or his leg. And another one of my classmates has suffered back pain for years, and he's had multiple operations to try to deal with it. We were good friends. His father was a professor of mathematics. He became an actuary. Makes a lot of money. He lived in Hawaii. Married a Chinese woman, just like I did. We were both short guys. His wife's pretty. Mine's pretty. I think mine's nicer looking, actually, but that's neither here nor there. So I'm glad to be back home. I'm glad that I don't have any creditors pounding at my door, sending me letters of collection notices and so on. Not in debt. It's a wonderful feeling. Although my pension underwritten by inherited family money, that's dwindling rapidly. I don't know how much longer it's going to last, maybe another 5 years. That gives me 5 years to sell a manuscript, or at least get a literary agent interested in a goddamn manuscript. Fucking I don't know how it's done. I don't know how people do that anymore. It seems almost impossible now. How does one go about getting a literary agent, assuming that one's manuscript has merit to begin with, and deserves at least a second glance, if not more, if not a full reading? Then they have to decide, well, are we going to go to bat for this guy and and print up a copy of his manuscript and take it over to Simon and Schuster or Holt Mifflin or whatever. Random House. That's what they do. They're the middleman. Middle women, actually. Most of them are female. The gatekeepers, the jolly gatekeepers. I recited one of my poems at the last night of our gathering in Pullman. We went to a winery, which I'd never been to before. And it was enjoyable. Met more people I hadn't seen. One of my old friends, Jerry, showed up. Kirk and I, Jerry, go way back. 3rd grade. Wow. We had an interesting class in grade school. There were just about 30 kids who happened to be in that age group. And there weren't enough kids to warrant 2 classes, so we were together the entire. In fact, the people who had already lived on Military Hill from the beginning, from the 1st grade on through the 6th grade, they were with the same group of kids the entire time. Unless some new kid like me came in, like I came in 3rd grade, others appeared later on. But for 4 years, 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th grade, we were all, from my standpoint anyway, we were all together. Same kids every year. And then the big move to junior high school made me fucking nervous. I wrung my hands about that all summer long. And then I reacted the same way once again. I wrung my hands all summer long when I had to go into high school. Freshman year when I was 15. Then, the big one, college. So, 1970 in the fall. Go to WSU, get squared away in a dormitory, start taking classes. And what happens? I lose my nerve. I think, oh shit, I'm up against the smartest kids in the state of Washington and from all other parts of the country, I can't keep up, And so I just basically succumbed to my own anxieties. And I dropped out. Oh, I went back in the spring semester, but I wasn't fully determined to study as much as possible to get the most possible out of it. I fucked off. The Vietnam War was still running full bore. They were still spraying napalm everywhere. They were bombing the shit out of the North Vietnamese. But to no avail, because the Vietnamese, North Vietnamese soldiers and Viet Cong in South Vietnam, they're too much for the United States military. As a foreign invading army, we were repelled. Just like we were repelled in Iraq, just like we were repelled in Afghanistan. Now, do you think it's very wise for the United States to mount some multi-billion-dollar operation, go into a foreign country? I don't think it'd be very smart at all, and President Biden is damn smart staying out of Ukraine. He wouldn't dare go in there and take up arms against Vladimir Putin, that crazy son of a bitch. I don't know. I hope Putin's eliminated. I hope he's assassinated. He should be. The Russian people are going to be mighty angry at him because the world's putting the squeeze on Russia because of their invasion of Ukraine. And all the Russian people are suffering because of that idiot, maniacal bastard Putin. Jesus. I don't know. Gotta step out for a smoke. So I've been thinking about what the Supreme Court has done recently with regard to the gun control laws, one of which I think that's the one they overturned. The New York state law that had been in existence for 100 years, they overturned it. Now, as far as guns go, America has reverted to the Wild West. Anybody can carry a gun almost anywhere they want to. It's just insane. I mean, see if I can think up a good analogy. All right. Let's say 4th of July is just over, and there are all these extra fireworks laying about that hadn't been sold. And so let's suppose that they have to get rid of them. So they just pile them into a big heap. Now imagine that each one of those little rockets and Roman candles and so on, suppose each one of those is an AK-47 rifle. Okay, as this refuse pile of unsold fireworks mounts up, as the AK-47s mount up, there's only one problem with this analogy, that the fireworks made out of basically paper, cardboard, and gunpowder, that's not going to last very long. A gun, if it's indoors, is going to last virtually forever. So, America, the great manufacturer of weaponry in the world, bar none, keeps manufacturing weapons. They sell them all over the world. They sell them to people in the United States from one end of the country to the other. And the number of guns in this country keeps increasing every year. I don't know what those idiotic Supreme Court justices, they're up in their ether sphere of jurisprudence, conceptualization, and so on. They don't live on the street. They don't have any idea, experientially, how it goes down. And the police, I don't expect the police are going to be any too happy about this decision. Certainly not the New York police. Fucking hell. I mean, just last night, there, or the night before, there were 1, 2, or 3 drive-by shootings here in Spokane, about 3 blocks away from where I live. I get up early at night, I work on my novel, and when the window's open, I can hear gunshots going off now and again. I've even called the police a couple of times about it, when it sounded like it wasn't all that far away, 2 or 3 fucking blocks. When my father retired, he moved to Spokane, and in the letters that we exchanged, he would not infrequently express his anxiety about the crime rate here in Spokane. And it's, Spokane has its share of major crimes. Auto theft, murder, grand larceny, whatever. Armed robbery. illegal drug distribution, and so on. You know, Spokane has a lot of difficulties. Not to mention the inundation of the homeless. A problem that they've been wrestling with for many a month and have yet to figure out how to deal with on an institutional basis because they can't come up with a proper design. I've come up with a design, and I even sent the suggestion to our notable Mayor Nadine Woodward, former KHQ newscaster. But of course, they're not going to take a second look at some suggestion from a crank, which I'm sure they regard me as. Well, I got into an argument with a former member of the wrestling team, Mike Boone. Boone's a farmer. He owns a lot of land just outside of Pullman. And we were talking about the inflation and the increasing cost of fuel, and the fact that diesel fuel is used to power the machinery which agriculture depends on. Plows, the combines, the trucks, and so on. They all require diesel or gasoline. And he was upset about all these new electric engines in the trucks that they're going to sell. And I got the immediate impression that he was a climate change denier. And I mentioned carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, and he just shut me off. He said, "I'm not going to talk to you any longer." And I started to get technical. I looked up an explanation for the greenhouse effect at NASA. And it's pretty simple. The carbon dioxide molecule, composed of one atom of carbon and two atoms of oxygen, those atomic bonds between the atoms vibrate. Now, in a molecule of oxygen, O2, or a molecule of nitrogen, N2, those molecules don't vibrate to the extent that carbon dioxide molecules do. Carbon dioxide molecules, when they receive the reflected light from the earth in the form of infrared energy, heat, they start to vibrate more quickly. And when they vibrate, they emit kinetic energy in the form of heat. It goes back down to the earth. Guess what? That's global warming. And it's been happening ever since the Industrial Revolution in England in the early 19th century. Well, now the entire world is in quite a pickle. And in the United States, which is apparently now a more and more regressive country every year, there are still a whole horde of politicians who are just stupid or just cynical. They either actually don't believe the climatologists and the oceanographers, people who study climate on a massive scale. They're not just weather reporters. Far from it. Or they do acknowledge this, but their constituents don't, so they have to pretend. They pretend, just like they pretend that guns are not a real problem. I mean, just the existence of guns. Guns don't kill people, people kill people. Isn't that just a dandy little blurb? Yes, it takes one human being to murder another, but there are various ways to murder. You can strangle a person to death. You can take a knife and slit their throat. You can take an axe and chop off their head. Now, this requires close proximity. The thing about a gun is, it does not require close proximity. You can kill somebody from a good distance with a proper gun. With a rifle, you can kill them from 100, 200, 300 feet or further, depending on the type of rifle it is. A sniper rifle, you could kill somebody from 1,000 feet, so I've heard. So, yes, guns do kill people. I got news for you. They kill many people. And the imbeciles who think that the existence of guns, the prolific existence of guns in this country is not a problem, are just, they're deluding themselves, is what they're doing. Absolutely delusional. It's pathetic. It's absolutely pathetic.